We are all chasing that fantasy baseball championship, and sometimes to win a fantasy baseball league, you have to make tough decisions with your roster. It's not just all waiver wire ads and start sits. Sometimes you have to dig down and look at your roster and notice when it's time to sell players high, like we're going to do in this video, and when it's time to buy players low, like we did in my previous video. We went over a bunch of trade advice in part 1 of this video, so I'm not going to go over it all again here. If you want to go check that out, make sure you go see my buy low video I posted last week. But to quickly just reiterate a couple things from it, our main goal here is to have a fair trade with value going both ways. It has to be a mutually beneficial trade between both parties. We aren't in the business of offering absolute junk or sending ridiculous trade offers to make your whole league hate you. We are just trying to find a slight edge in a trade where we think the current player's value is ranked higher than we think it's going to be at the end of the season. And what we want to do is capitalize on that perceived value now, selling that player when they think they're at their highest point. So when they go back down to where we think they're going to be, we're going to win that trade in the second half of the season. So we're going to go over 3 sell high players. Make sure to comment down below, good or bad. I love responding to all the comments. I'll always try to respond to every single one, every video. We are back with our normal waiver wire video this weekend. So if you aren't subscribed, make sure you go smash that button right now. We've highlighted some great players this year, and hopefully we continue to do so the rest of the year. For anybody new here, I'm Chris, and welcome to Number 2 Sports. First up, we have a name that everybody knows in the fantasy community, the New York Yankees first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie has definitely been rejuvenated this year in his first year in the Bronx, which is nice to see after he struggled for a majority of the year in 2024. He's batting over 300, has 7 home runs, 30 RBI, and 5 swipes. And he's been a set and forget option for most fantasy managers at the cornered infield spot all season long. However, in June, he's took a real step back, only batting around 180 in 15 games so far. And the real red flag for me is the return of Giancarlo Stanton. He's going to occupy the DH spot on most nights, and then with Ben Rice being very productive against right-handed pitching and deserving to be in the lineup against them, there could be a situation where Paul Goldschmidt is now in some sort of platoon role. And that's the last thing you want as a fantasy manager. His value will take a huge hit in the second half if he's in a platoon or any sort of platoon situation. And if that wasn't enough to convince you to sell him now, if we look a little bit further, he's just simply not hitting the ball that hard this year at all. His ISO is at .143 and his exit velocity, max exit velocity, barrel percentage, and hard hit percentage are all down from 2024. And like I said earlier, he didn't have the greatest year in 2024 to begin with. All those advanced stats are in the bottom half of the league. Father time always wins unless you're LeBron James. So I think now is the perfect time to sell the 37-year-old before his value even takes a bigger hit. Now, don't sell him for scraps. I'm not meaning to sell him for nothing. I would package him with another player and get an upgrade at a position of need. If you have that option on the table or are able to pull that trade, I wouldn't hesitate to do so. There are a ton of red flags in his fantasy outlook for the second half of the season that I don't want any part of. Next up, we have a little controversial one where fantasy managers are a little hesitant to sell him. We have the starting pitcher off the Atlanta Braves, the former ace, Spencer Strider. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think he's bad by any means. I still think he'll be a very useful and is a very good starting pitcher in real life and fantasy. I just don't think he's going to get back to that ace level that we've seen from him in prior years. So fantasy managers in your league think he's getting close to that or think he's going to be that in the second half of the season, that's where we want to sell high. That's where it might be a tough sell for some of you because he's been so good in the past and he will be again in the future. I just don't think he's going to get to that tippity top level this season. And one of the main reasons I think that is just his fastball velocity. It's been hovering around 94, 95 miles per hour all year. And I know you're thinking, hey, Chris, he just went out against the Rockies and he was hitting 97, 98. And yeah, I know. I'm just not convinced that it's going to be there consistently the rest of the season. And I really think he needs that extra velocity in his arsenal to get back to those levels that he once was. His whiff rate keeps dropping and his slider velocity is dropping as well, down to 83, 84. And it may seem small, but that's a huge difference for sliders. The internal brace procedure that he had could mean that his velocity may never come back consistently. There's not 100% science on it, but at the very least, it could be a long process to get back up to his pre-injury velocity. His arm angle has changed about 5 degrees since the injury, so that could be affecting some of his command. His K percentage is down. All his hard hit rates are up from prior years as well. So that's exit velocity, max exit velocity, hard hit percentage. And his expected ERA and his expected FIP aren't far off his current marks, so it's not like he's been some super unlucky pitcher either. In general, I just don't think he's been as dominant or as elusive in years past. If we look at his zone contact percentage, it's up 5% from prior years, meaning more batters are timing him up. His CSW percentage has decreased the last 3 years, and he's thrown way less first pitch strikes this year. Again, could be the arm angle change, I'm not 100% sure, or just getting his command back post-injury. That's putting him behind in so many more counts, and it's hard as a predominantly 2-pitch pitcher to make up that ground if you're always falling behind. You just don't have that arsenal to be able to sneak pitches in here and there when you need it. It kind of reminds me of like Ben Brown. Obviously, Strider is 100 times better than Ben Brown, but again, Ben is that predominantly 2-pitch pitcher, and when he starts falling behind in accounts, that's when he gets in trouble because he doesn't have anything else to rely on to get him out of trouble. But again, I obviously think Strider is an amazing pitcher. He has enormous strikeout potential, and he'll probably be just fine the second half of the season. But if there's someone in your league that still values him as that top 20 guy, or you can get a top 20, top 30 guy for him, I think it's a move you really have to consider making. It's risky, but if a fantasy manager in your league thinks he's going back to that top level Spencer Strider we've seen in the past, I think you capitalize on it, sell him, and reap the rewards. Keeping up with that controversial take, last up, we have a legitimate MVP candidate if Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani weren't such freaks, and it's Cal Raleigh from the Seattle Mariners. Now, Big Dumper has been an absolute stud, but he does swing and miss a lot more than the average player, and he does have low contact rates. When things aren't going really well, that low contact rate can lead to prolonged cold streaks and minimal fantasy production. He battles out with great plate discipline and very loud contact when he does get that bat on the ball. And one thing he's doing differently this year is he's pulling the ball more than ever. He almost has the highest number of pulled balls in the air in the pitching tracking era since 2008. And I think he's doing this to combat and playing in half his games at Safeco, arguably the worst hitter park in all of baseball. Pulling fly balls or pulling this many fly balls is not a good approach for everyone, but his hitting profile and his power ability gives him the right tools to be able to do so. The downside though is this approach can lead to inflated strikeout numbers and prolonged cold streaks like I was talking about earlier. And lastly, it feels like the catcher position is the deepest it's ever been in fantasy baseball, or at least that I can remember. If this was just a few years ago, having Cal would be the biggest fantasy edge you could get in fantasy baseball. But this year, you could easily argue there's 10 to 12 guys that you could put in your weekly lineup that aren't going to implode your stats at all. So with that being said, I would trade Cal Raleigh to no one. I would never trade this guy. Anybody saying to trade him is no. The switch hitting backstop is amazing. He's on pace for 60 home runs, which by the way would break the MLB record for catchers and switch hitters. He's on pace for a 10.3 WAR, 10.3, which would be the highest by a catcher of all time. I don't care that I'm a Mariners fan. I am never trading the Big Dumper. Who is not rooting for this guy playing baseball's most punishing position? He's a beast. Sorry for pulling that little reverse Uno card on you. I'm not trading Big Dumper. You shouldn't either. Unless you obviously get the most ridiculous offer of all time, then yeah, you probably should move on from him. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. We'll be posting another waiver wire video this Saturday. Make sure to comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.